Matthew, the film guy, is choosing your streams. Cassavetes on Netflix and other such themes. Maybe you'll watch one and learn a few things. Please recommend me a movie to stream. Matthew, please recommend me a movie to stream.
I think I will.
Matthew, film guy.
Matthew, film guy. Emma will be back in just a moment. We are ignoring what she said before the break, and we are here with your Oscar predictions 2024. Matthew, film guy. Who will win the Best Picture award? I don't know if I know all the names of it.
I believe it will be Oppenheimer.
Okay, well, I guess we'll find out.
Pretty good. So a lot of places to go from here.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's just go through all of them and do this same joke over and over again. You know, I got to say, like, we should have done this, obviously, 3 weeks ago, a week before the Oscars, and I did not know the Oscars were happening. So I did not, nobody told me. So.
Yeah, and listen, I don't want to be a party pooper to the people who really enjoy following this stuff. I mean, it's better than being a reality TV fanatic or an Instagram junkie. But I don't follow the Oscars either, as everybody I think knows by now. I'm not a big believer in the corporatized advertising for, pseudo serioso films that basically the Oscars represent.
How would you characterize the people that do follow it, Matthew? As somebody who's actually within the industry that makes movies, what would you say? Like, is it basic? Is that a word? Or like what is it?
I think it's more than basic because it's still a fringe thing to be way into movies these days. So I think that's cool on its face. But, I don't know. They're just normies, I guess. Normie film people.
Gotcha.
That's how I look at it. And listen, far be it from me to hate on anybody who's a normie. I'm a normie in many ways myself. I watch basketball. I, listen to certain music that maybe people call normie, but it's just not my vibe. It's just not my vibe. I would much rather catch up on the wide variety of classic and international cinema that I still haven't seen. I still haven't seen all the Hong Sang-soo movies or the Chantal Akerman movies. I'd rather catch up on early Pasolini films and stay current with, this year's crop of awards bait. But
so just be clear that you don't pay attention to the Oscars because of like your sort of like your cinematic ideology, and I don't pay attention to the Oscars because just nobody tells me, and I'm just I'm just not aware of things that are happening in the world.
This is why you need an adult friend to find. So
exactly,
will tell you
exactly. This is I'm one of the things I'm looking for is adult friend aware of all the big things that are happening in culture that you can just remind me are happening.
Yeah, I mean, I get information about the Oscars through the periphery, through social media. I followed some of the
Did you see any of the Oscar movies? Let's cut to the chase. Did you see Zone of Interest? Did you see?
No, that one I didn't see. I would want to see that one. I mean,
that seems like a movie you would want to see.
Yeah, it is. It is a movie I want to see. I saw Killers of the Flower Moon, which was good but not great.
Yeah.
I saw Barbie, which I thought was cleverly self-aware, an SNL skit-level musical comedy, tarted up with a few pretentious references to feminist cultural critique.
I would agree with that. Was that even
good? These two men agree on what the feminist value of Barbie was. Good.
Was that in the Oscars?
Hey, listen, yeah, it was. It was nominated for several. I
thought Poor Things was like a better version of Barbie.
Okay, I haven't seen Poor Things. I'm actually catching up on my Yorgos Lanthimos films already, so I'm behind on him.
Okay.
And I saw Oppenheimer, which I thought was mildly interesting, but corny as much as it was dramatic or engrossing. So I was sort of, blasé about the whole thing. That was
all right. Fair enough. I did not see Oppenheimer.
I agree on Oppenheimer.
I mean, biopics to me are that is the lowest level of Oscar bait, like serious issue that we can humanize, bring his real life to the screen. And it's just so it's like shorthand with all this little sort of attempts to capture his inner essence, and it's just he's a cipher. It's a blank slate put behind this grand issue of the atomic bomb, which I'm fascinated by the whole real history of Oppenheimer, which is what I usually leave biopics thinking, like, well, what was the real story? Like, what really happened? And to me, it was sort of bland.
I think Inception should have won the Oscar.
Wow, that would have been a real mind fuck,
I mean, I mean, how crazy would that be? It would be like if Inception, if they knew what they were doing, they would have been able to pull that off.
Yeah,
they would have made it. They would have made it the Academy's idea.
Well, he could have accepted the award.
I just saw this with Saul, and so I've seen it before, but that's.
Did he thought it was cool?
Saul thought it was cool. There was a lot of like stopping and pausing. There was a lot of Saul going, pause it. And then we would explain. Then I would explain to him what's going on. But he enjoyed it.
Did you like Past Lives, Matthew? Did you see Past Lives?
No, I didn't see Past Lives. I've heard good things.
I love that. That was great.
One of the best of the year. You saw Bottoms, right? We may have talked about this, how good Bottoms was.
No, but you
not
did,
nominated, but
you did recommend that highly to me. I did.
What
not
about The Holdovers? Was that nominated?
Yeah.
Yes, I believe. I believe the actress won for that one. But no, that's another one I have not seen. But I would see.
Holdovers.
It's okay. It's okay.
Like Alexander Payne.
It's Alexander Payne's like lower bottom. I mean, there's like much better Alexander Payne movies. I feel like Election or
it moved Sideways to the top of my Oscar picks because Giamatti name dropped me on WTF, and just listening to Marin feel uncomfortable about it made it skyrocket. Now, to be fair, I did hear about that. Somebody told me on the IMs. I did hear about it after the Oscars, and that's probably why it didn't. It underperformed at the Oscars, I think.
Yeah,
so.
I would think so. Did that interview come out before the voting was locked in? I wonder.
Yes, I think it did, but I didn't hear about it until much later. Matthew, let's we've talked about this Oscar stuff. You obviously you don't care. But let's get to the more important stuff. Like, what are you doing right now? And specifically, why couldn't you do the eBay stuff with our equipment in the office?
I'm gearing up to edit a feature film, so it's going to take all of my time and attention for the next several months.
What's involved in the gearing up process?
Well, they're shooting right now, so I'm in constant contact with my assistant editor, who is ingesting the footage and organizing.
What do you mean constant contact? That's literally a joke line from A Bad Situationist, I think, between us.
I stand 6 feet away from her at all times. No, they're shooting in Atlanta, and we are keeping in touch every day. We exchange notes and understand where she's at with everything and getting her to lay things out.
Okay, so that's 15 minutes. What are you doing with the rest of the day, Matthew?
I also have other responsibilities, Sam. I'm teaching my film appreciation class, and I'm also finishing some corporate editing jobs, which I know I mentioned to you when we discussed the issue.
This all sounds very suspicious to me.
I mean, I'd love to haul your old junk into my apartment and store it here for months while we try to sell it, but we'll have to put that off to another day. I promise you.
Well, you better be careful because Mila's on vacation next week. So,
whoa.
I will take that chance, but if she wants any hints on eBay, she can let me know.
All right. Well, she may take you up on that. So, Matthew, with all that said, you're extremely busy, man. I don't want to keep you because I know you're in constant contact. When does the editing process start? How long of a shoot? Can you tell us anything about the film? Is it exciting?
Yeah, well, it's a kind of a medical drama. It takes place in a hospital. It's sort of got some romantic and some sci-fi elements to it, you might say.
A medical drama with romance and sci-fi.
Yeah. It's kind of an interesting pastiche. It's a little Flatliners, a little Coma with Michael Douglas. I don't know if you ever saw that in the
vaguely. I think I remember
70s.
Those. Yeah.
So it's kind of got that aspect to it. And they're shooting for a few weeks. They're halfway through the shoot right now, and I start editing. Let's see, a week from this coming Monday. So clock is ticking.
Do you have a sense of what's happening in the? I mean, I know this is probably an independent film. Is it?
Yeah, very independent. Yes.
Do you have a sense of like from your? I know you're sort of like Hollywood adjacent. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you have a problem with me saying that because you don't want to be that close to Hollywood, or you are upset that I say that you're not in Hollywood.
No, the opposite. I think it's a stretch to assume that I'm Hollywood.
You're second order, but you have friends who are in the film business, correct?
Sure. Well, sure, yes.
Of course. And
my agents are located in Hollywood. So I
right,
guess
there you go. So what is the
Hollywood.
word? Like what's happening in the wake of the strikes? We're now, 6 months out, 7 months out.
I mean, look, all I can tell you from my own limited point of view is that I got a gig now, finally. I was able to interview and be hired. So that's, to me.
So that's all that's important.
That's all the information I receive. That's all the signal that comes through to me is that this is what's going on now. I've been reading scripts and, doing interviews and got a job. So it seems to be moving.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. That is, I would say, a very limited anecdotal sample.
That's right.
Just
I'm sorry. I
but,
wish I could.
Right.
I wish I could be more scientific or objective for you, but this is what the adjacent part of Hollywood adjacent gets you.
Well, all right. I guess I've offended you in some way,
No,
and I apologize for that.
No, not at all. If anything, I'm embarrassed. But
Matthew, well, let's get right to it then. Suggest a film for us this week. Of course, folks can check out your Learning Annex class. That's always like you always get a suggestion for a film in that. In fact, you get an assignment. And if you don't do it, what happens? Have you ever flunked anybody in that class?
No, there's no pass or fail. It's just a nice get together. We all have a chat about the film after everyone watches it on a link. So there's no test.
If someone's not doing their homework, is there a dean at the JCC that will sit them down and say, you're on double secret probation? You haven't been, none of that.
No, nothing like that. People will sometimes
like an honor system.
Yeah, it's an honor system. Listen, if you pay your ticket, you can do what you want with your time, basically. So
okay, fair enough.
There's no pressure. And people sometimes join and don't speak, don't engage. They just want to listen. That's also fine too. There's no requirement to engage in the conversation.
Okay. All right. So Matthew, what film should we watch this weekend on one of these streaming services? When we started this, it was like the whole point was that like streaming service, this newfangled thing.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I mean, we should point that out. I mean, you've been on this program for probably, I don't know, how long have you? What was the earliest that you came on this program?
I think 2011. I want to say.
Really?
Maybe 2012.
Interesting. Okay, and of course, you've been aware of the Majority Report since really its launch.
That's right.
Yep. And we're 2 weeks away from the 20th anniversary. So in many respects, this is your 20th anniversary film suggestion.
Oh,
so
that's nice. That's
better be a good one.
Better be good.
Oh, geez. Well, listen, I will say a movie that we did watch in the film class a few weeks ago that really made a huge impression on me was Abbas Kiarostami, the Iranian filmmaker's final feature film. He passed away a few years afterwards. And it was called Like Someone in Love, and it's available to rent on YouTube. And it actually takes place in Japan. It was a Japanese and French co-production. His last two films were not in Iran, but it is a really uniquely crafted story about a young student who is an escort and gets called to an old man's house who basically just wants her to be his friend, so to speak. And it's just the way it's told is in sort of very loose and ambient sort of structures. And it's they get a run-in with her boyfriend who's sort of possessive, and he gets confused to be her grandfather. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's extremely touching. It's extremely thought-provoking. It's very engaging. It's never obtuse to the point you can't follow it, but it always surprises and really is a uniquely crafted film that I really can't recommend any more highly, like Someone in Love.
Is it in Japanese?
Yes, and it's in Japanese.
And what if I don't speak Japanese?
Well, they have the words at the bottom. They call them subtitles. So
They're still doing that.
Yeah, they're still doing that. Yeah.
Okay.
You can order it with the subtitles. I suggest that if you're not a Japanese native speaker, that you get the subtitles. It really.
And do they have one of those overdubs with AI now?
You know what? I don't think so. Not yet. I don't think you can order up the automatic English translation yet. But that does seem to be where it's headed.
That's where it's going to head, right? I mean, that was one of the big things in the actors' strike, that they were foreign rights. They were, projecting AI would take care of that. I mean, and there are things that do that now. That's going to be problematic for, English speaking voice actors and also, voice actors in other countries as well. Many of our films go to all over Europe, Asia, and everywhere else.
Yeah, but I don't think Kiarostami's films are ever dubbed. I think they rely on the reading ability of the foreign audiences.
What is that name of that film again?
Like Someone in Love from 2012, Abbas Kiarostami's final film.
Like Someone in Love. Okay. All right. Wonderful. Well, Matthew, very exciting. Thank you so much. When do you start editing in earnest?
A week from Monday.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, will we be able to still be in touch with you during that time? I mean, How long are you going to be editing for?
It's scheduled for 6 weeks, which is a tight schedule. So.
All right. Well, very exciting. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you,
Matthew,
Sam.
film guy.
Thank you, Matthew.
And we will check out Like Someone in Love. I mean, I won't, but someone might.
I hope somebody
I might. It depends.
You might. You really
Saul
might.
won't watch foreign films, so we'll probably watch Inception 3 more times.
That sounds good too.
All right, Matthew, film guy, always a pleasure. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Sam. Take care, guys. Bye, Emma.
Bye, Matthew.